Hey, my friends, my name is Marissa and I am feeling like really excited. I don't know what's in the air, but it's a nice change of pace because it has been some interesting energies navigating over here in this microcosm, okay? But I'm just feeling really excited to offer these to you guys. I wish I could give credit where credit is due because this was inspired by like a soul sisters like oracle deck. I was over at her house the other day and she has like a ton of different oracle decks, and so I like to flip through and see like just the different types of readings that people have like downloaded, just the different layers and levels, and this one really spoke to my heart, right? So there's a saying like different levels, different devils. So this doesn't necessarily mean like you guys aren't on your path whatsoever. Everyone can come at these at a different point and glean insight as to, this is a never-ending unfolding, okay? So, there's always more expansion to be had, and sometimes we can reach these plateaus and we're just like dying for that next level of like authentic expression, okay? So that's what my intention is for these spreads today in particular. We have 4 aspects. We're diving into the beliefs most dominant in your field at this moment that you're tuning into this. Your soul truth, so what makes your heart smile. Your soul's untruth, what makes your heart sink. And then the actions you can take to heal these outdated belief systems that are holding you back at this time. So very excited, my friends. You have 4 groups to choose from today. This is group number 1, group number 2, number 3, and number 4. And when you're feeling ready, we're gonna hop right into these readings. Hey, group number 1, welcome to your reading for what is holding you back. All right, this is like destiny life reading / road less travel reading. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. Just really quick, I want to break down what's going on the table. So 4 different aspects we're diving into today. We're diving into first the beliefs that are most dominant currently in your paradigm that you're in. Next, we're diving into your soul's truth. So what makes your heart smile? Next, we're diving into your soul's untruth. So what makes your heart sink? And lastly, we're going to get into practical actions you can take at this time to help you heal any outdated belief systems that are kind of holding you back from stepping into a more free and expanded version of yourself and the reality that is that ensues from existing at that type of level, okay? So I'm going to go ahead. So first, your oracle cards, you have Autumn, Release the Old and Rest, and you have Drum, Dream and Journey. And just so we have a more coherent reading of what's going on here, we're going to get into your tarot for this section. So you have the Wheel of Fortune, you have Death and Rebirth, 6 of Wands, and you have the 9 of Cups. Okay, so for the Wheel of Fortune and Death and Rebirth to come up right underneath the Release the Old and Rest, I feel like there's a part of you, like your belief systems, like you understand that in order to get to a new version of yourself, you need to release, you need like those death cycles. I feel like pile number 1, you're very comfortable with. I feel like if anything, you guys probably go through a lot of those types of transformations where it almost seems like your reality takes a shift very quickly. I feel like you guys have gotten very comfortable with the death cycle. I feel like this is a group that really understands that, there's a higher hand like that is overseeing these things. And I feel like a big part of you guys have learned to surrender to the process. I am getting the sense that you have gone through significant shifts. Like I wouldn't be surprised if these are my people that have a lot of Scorpio energy in their chart, or like their Pluto is in Scorpio type of energy, where it's just like very natural. Like this has just been something in your life to where maybe at first you might have resisted it, but you're like, okay, this is just like what feels the most natural. This is like how I grow and how I expand and how I continue to dream and get better is through these death cycles. Okay, I feel like there is also something about something being too good to be true. Okay, so your current belief systems, like I feel like you guys are okay with the suffering part. I'm sorry to laugh, but like that's just kind of where the collective is at. It's almost like we have this weird idea that in order to live a good life, like it has to be hard, or like there's a good acceptance of suffering here, but it's almost like, a necessity. I feel the guides coming through and being like, just watch your belief systems that expects that that's the only way that good can come in. Because I feel like things can be moving a bit easier for you guys when you're leaning a little bit more on your intuitive capacities, okay? But I feel like this is just an energy you're so used to and so comfortable with, like the phoenix rising from the ashes type of energy, that I feel like because you are so comfortable with the cycles of death and releasing, that sometimes it can be hard to imagine, pile number one, that the life of your dreams is not actually too good to be true and you actually deserve it. Okay, so you just might be at a phase in your journey where there is a lot of karmic cycles that you have just been undoing. Like, this is something my guides told me today on my run. They're like, do you understand, like, and this is coming to you, okay? I feel guided to extend this to you too. Like, having this type of energy in your codes tells me you do not understand, pile number one, like how many karmic ties you have battled and how many karmic ties you have met. Like, I'm just getting this sense of someone that like can barely keep their head up over water because it's like the next wave and the next wave and the next wave. And so it's almost like there's an expectation that life will always be like this, okay? But your guides are wanting to bring awareness around, no, you're tying off significant amounts of like karmic ties. And there will be a point to where like it doesn't feel so hard, okay? It doesn't feel so difficult. It doesn't have to feel like, you know, your soul is burning so deeply every time, but also there's like a level of acceptance that you guys have that's part of the journey. And that shows your maturity, honestly. But currently, I feel like you guys do have high hopes and high expectations for where your life can go and who you're meant to be. And I feel like you are here to impact a lot of people. And I'm getting the sense that you guys are just light workers and healers and people that have a lot of love to give and that are very self-sourced. So people that look within themselves, and you guys are probably the people that give advice to other people, if anything, you know. But yeah, you guys you know where to go to keep your cups full. And your guides just want you to know that like these dreams are not just meant to be dreams. Like, it's part of the journey, right? And that the journey is going to continue to get more exciting and to not let things linger in your field. You know, you guys are so good at the death and rebirth and the release cycle that I feel like this is like just a small reminder of like when those things start to feel like they're suffocating your reality and suffocating your dreams, those influences, you know, those people that, you know, maybe take some space from them because you know, I feel like you guys are in tune with a very whimsical idea of what life can be. And it's not meant to just be an idea or just like a theory of what is possible. You are meant to live that reality, okay? And you guys deeply feel that. And I think you guys can also feel that you're just in the process of tying off loose ends and just like addressing any traumas or addressing, you know, just like unearthing the things in your early influences, your early childhood that led you to be who you are now. And what's working, what's not working from that, how it was meant to set you up, how it was like a necessary part of your soul's blueprint. But now you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for the good stuff. Like, I'm ready for it to get better. Because I feel like you guys, no matter how shitty it's gotten, no matter how heavy it's gotten, you guys are the silver lining types of people, okay? Like, you've always known deep down that you were meant for something great and that this was going to catapult you into your greatest success. Right? It's like you had to go through all of this to keep a humble heart, to keep a tender heart. And now it's like pile number one deserves the success that is coming in for you guys. Okay. So we're going to move right along into your soul's truth. So what makes your heart smile? First, we have the destroyer. That is so funny. That's really kind of going along with this energy. So right away, I'm just getting the sense of like, it makes your heart smile that you have been through so much shit and like, it's like, bring it the fuck on. Like, nothing can take you down. I am getting this sense of like a very like warrior type of energy of like, you understand how much this kind of decay and death and endings and loss and like those deep purification moments where you just feel like your soul and your heart and your whole, like all the cells in your body are on fire, right? I feel like you really feel like nothing can stand in your path, right? Nothing can get in the way of what you're meant to do, what you're here for. Next, we have gnosis. So yeah, what makes your heart smile? I feel like you guys are very spiritual beings, or at the very least, like you tune into like philosophers, or you guys naturally seek, like I am getting like ninth house type of energy from this Sagittarian energy where you seek to understand life beyond the surface. And I deeply can feel that, you know, the suffering you've been through is catalyzed you in that direction. And that's generally what catalyzes us onto our spiritual path, right? It is a deep amount of suffering that I can see you guys have really been through. So I feel like like not only tenacity wise and like just with your resilience, I feel like what makes your heart happy is knowing how much you've overcome. And I feel like you guys feel very accomplished, and like, you know that what is coming your way, like you will feel, you know, like I deserve this. I deserve this. I like, when I could have become like an asshole, or when I could have like let my heart close, like I kept it open, right? So you guys are an individual that I feel like, you know, you have learned boundaries, right? You have learned what you will and will not put up with. And yeah, I feel like you get a deep sense of joy and a deep sense of peace. It's like you guys, I feel like you guys you tend to thrive in adversity. And so like peace is something that if you can thrive in adversity, like you're already 10 steps ahead of the game in terms of living a very peaceful life, okay? But I feel like what makes your heart smile, you're not afraid of the endings, okay? Because you're always like, oh my gosh, this just means a new version of myself is going to birth through. And I feel like you guys really are on the brink of a breakthrough in this moment, okay? Or you're, you know, if you've been feeling a little bit stagnant, I do feel called to remind you guys that, you know, there are significant karmic cords that are coming to an end, and that you have just been in the process of like really loosening up, so those scales can finally tip into where you do feel like, okay, even more so than you might already, like everyone's going to be at a different point in this journey, but even more so already, where you're like, I fucking like dominated those karmic things, and you just feel so good. Because I feel like this would be a group too that understands like karma, or like soul lessons is a different way to say that. And like, okay, what did I come here to learn? And like understanding generational karma, and really feeling good about how far you've already come within yourself. Like there's really a self-acknowledgement and a self-acceptance and a self-love that I feel from this pile. You might not see that at all the time, because I just feel like really you guys don't understand, pile number one, how many karmic ties you have undone in a super short amount of time, okay? I'm really getting the sense that you guys have undone a lot in a very short amount of time. And because you're just so used to this like releasing and shedding and letting go, that it can be really hard for you to actually witness, or to like be able to acknowledge like how incredibly far you've come and how much you have grown. But it's very easy for other people to see that, okay? I just felt like putting that out there because that's what's coming up. Next, we have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, what makes your heart smile? I feel like you guys have been through so much of this that you're like, I need to follow my heart, right? You're like, there's no other way to live than when I'm following my heart. And I feel like you guys have come to a point to where, you know, you really trust your heart. Like what makes your heart smile, to have the Ace of Cups come up in this position, like tells me that like trusting yourself, and you have actually had experiences to where you trusted your heart, and it actually led to like incredible, that's what this dream and journey is about. Like your heart is already so tuned in, okay? Like, and so maybe there's a little bit of like betrayal. We'll get deeper, okay? We'll get deeper. But I'm sensing a little bit of like, okay, I've been doing so much. I've been doing all the things that I feel like I'm supposed to do. All my teachers have said I'm supposed to do, like follow your joy, your bliss, and when's it gonna come, okay? And I feel like, yeah, you've already had reflections of following your heart and things working out like really well, and having those scenarios where you're at the right place, the right time, you met the right person. And I feel like you've had very like serendipitous and synchronous types of confirmations throughout your life that, you know, you're like, okay, there is really something to this. This is not just like something I'm reading in a book, but you have really seen like how beautiful things are when you're following your heart, when you're living from that intuitive space. Next, we have the World. Oh my goodness. So what makes your heart smile? Yeah, I feel like the rebirth, right? I feel like you understand that every time you go through a death cycle, like you are left even better, and you are a new version of yourself. I feel like you guys feel like the world is your oyster, and that is such like a powerful space to be in. I feel like you guys might know a lot of people from around the world, and like are making a lot of connections at this time, or I'm just getting the sense that you guys are like a heart open type of person, and there's a lot of people that admire you. There's a lot of people that follow your work. If you're putting yourself out there in some sort of way, like what makes your heart smile like is how other people respond, and like the magic that's created when you're living from your heart and you see the reactions and you see the effect of that on other people. That's a true like light worker kind of thing, right? It's because you're executing on your soul's blueprint. And so I feel like you guys want more of that. Like you're like, okay, you guys know that you're here for big things. That is not anything to even question. You guys know without a shadow of a doubt you are here for something big, okay? lastly, we have the Two of Pentacles. So I feel like you guys like the grind. I feel like you guys like the feeling of getting shit done and working hard and being your own boss, or, you know, if that resonates for you. But I feel like you guys, what makes your heart smile is like you don't engage in petty shit. You engage in stuff that, like, you're willing to juggle a lot if all of those things that you're juggling are things that feel purposeful to you and feel intentional for you, right? So I feel like you guys might have had like a lot of projects or started a lot of things and, you know, started a lot of businesses or like tried different things, and it's brought you a lot of insight into, yeah, I'm getting the sense that you have just allowed yourself to explore. Or maybe that's something that you want to do even more. You want to explore even more. You want to see what other options are out there, right? And I feel like you guys don't mind working hard when it's coming from your heart, right? Because then it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like, okay, this, like, there's so much energy that, like, that's what flow state is. Like, you have so much energy available to you and willpower available to you because it's like not being blocked, right? In a flow state, it's not being blocked. Like, the experience and the experiencer become one, versus when the mind is involved and you feel like you're this person doing this thing, that can cut off some of that Shakti, some of that natural willpower and energy, right? But yeah, let's get deeper into this. So what is your soul's untruth? So what makes your heart sink? Pile number one, we have temptation. So yeah, when you do meet a karmic knot over again, I think you guys might be a little bit hard on yourself, because you tend to go through so many transformational cycles that you're like, God, I thought I was over this already. Like, why am I facing this again? So yeah, we'll get a little bit deeper, but I think you just might be, like, you guys might be really hard on yourselves, okay? You guys might have some earth signs going on, okay? Like earth moons, or even like water moons, okay? But, you know, despite all of that, it's like, I feel like you guys might get down on yourself when you think you're not as far as you actually are, okay? Your guides were saying that at the very beginning of this reading. So what makes your heart sink? Yeah, I feel like it's when you have such high hopes for things, and when they don't work out, like when something like ends up being like a pale reflection of what your heart tells you is possible, it kind of makes you lose hope, okay? So your guides are bringing a little bit of awareness around that, of like, you know, don't lose hope just because you have old patterns coming up and old behaviors coming up and old like reflections, external reflections of these things that you thought you were over. Don't take the bait of meaning that just because you're seeing it, it doesn't mean shit, okay? It's like old karma running itself off, okay? It's just like these old cords running themselves off. And it's almost like I like to use a video game analogy, you know, right before you enter into a new paradigm, it's like you're going to meet the boss. You're going to meet like all of those sneaky belief systems that can't make the leap with you, that can't survive in that brighter paradigm, right? Less shadow can go with you into brighter, more expanded paradigms. And so it's like, you know, if anything, celebrate those moments and don't take the bait, and like, don't take the bait of what your thoughts try to suggest to you when these old reflections come up, because that's just going to keep them in your field longer. That's going to perpetuate that negative karma. Okay, but just let it be there. You know, don't attach to your thoughts. Do something different than your older version would have done, an old version of yourself. Like, you know, don't jump to conclusions. But, you know, I feel like it just makes your heart sink when you're like, God, I thought it could be A, B, and C, or I thought I met this person, or I thought, you know, like things start getting really good, and then in a way you're left a little bit disappointed. But it's just all a continual cleansing cycle, okay? Don't take the bait of that suggestion, right? Do not judge after appearances. So next we have the Six of Swords. Yeah. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune again. Okay, so we have, it's almost like okay, I'm trying to like formulate this into words. So I feel like you're trying to learn, or you're currently navigating, like, does this mean when these things don't work out, does this mean that I'm supposed to let go of what it is that I actually want, right? So I feel like there might be a battle between, okay, I'm just not destined for this. It's not meant for me. It's like, you know, there's a little bit of a sense of being too hard on yourself, and like being aware of the narrative that you tell yourself when you do get disappointed by life, and when someone does show their ass, and when, you know, you're offering your heart and you're offering like all of this goodness that pile number one has to offer, and it's not reflected back to you in a way that you thought it should be. And I feel like you might think that it's just not meant for me this time, or, you know, it works for other people, but it doesn't work for me. And so there's a need to just understand that, like being aware of operating, of those belief systems operating, okay? Yeah, not taking the bait of these tempting thoughts when that wheel comes around again, because, you know, that's just the part of, you know, the journey of life. Sometimes we're on the top of the wheel, sometimes we're on the bottom of the wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and move right along. This will get more coherence, I'm sure, as we deepen into this reading. So lastly, we have the actions that you can take, practical steps you can take to help heal any outdated belief systems. So we have fork in the road. Okay, so this is all about whenever you have new opportunities to choose internally or externally a path that feels more exciting, more led by your heart. Okay, it's saying that like you can actually trust your heart. Yeah, that might be a little bit of what's happening here is like you guys are learning how to discern what is actually my heart and what is just like my karma, or what is like the devil on my, you know, in my head versus the angel on my shoulder. So spirit is really coming through and saying like, you just need to start going for it. Okay. Like don't put yourself in shitty situations, all right? Don't take shitty advice from tarot readers. Okay. Or anyone, right? But just like as much as you can, releasing the idea you can get something wrong. And as you're starting to learn what's the difference between old karma and your actual intuition, you just have to like go for it, and you just have to take a chance on it. Okay. So a practical step, instead of being like, oh, I'm not sure, you know, I've been let down in the past before, my heart has led me astray before, you know, understanding that, you know, it's a new dynamic. Okay. Not bringing the past with you, and really seeing things with a fresh set of eyes, and understanding after every death experience is a more mature and a more intuitive version of you. So this could really be saying that if you're confused about whether something is like a karmic pattern with this Wheel of Fortune, or something is really your intuition trying to lead you into brighter paradigms, it's like you just have to try. You know, there's no other way that you can read all the tarot readings that you want, or have, you know, all of the astrology readings, right? These external tools, but really, you know, we learn the most through experience. Okay. So this is like, you're going to learn what's heart and what's karma through just going for it. And you'll see like what that has to reveal to you. Okay. And it can be like very layered and very multifaceted. I totally get it. Okay. And so I feel like you guys are aware of all of the layers that can exist within these things, that it can almost be overwhelming, but you know, let yourself off the hook and don't be so hard on yourself. Okay. So next we have Treasure Island. I'm going to get into the tarot cards too. So yeah, what else? Do we have something else about, yeah, Dream and Journey and the Treasure Island kind of remind me of similar types of energy in terms of like expecting the best for yourself, and, you know, going like when you're going to choose that fork in the road, you're choosing the thing that leads you to the deepest fulfillment that you know that you are here to achieve, and you're not choosing something that feels practical. Okay. And, yeah. Okay. Let's get deeper with the tarot. So we have the Six of Swords again. Yeah, we have that here. Interesting. We have the World again. Beautiful. We have the Five of Swords. And we also have the Four of Wands. So I feel like a practical step that you're being asked to take at this time is to see where the areas in your life where you're still selling yourself short, right? Where you're still settling for like fool's gold versus like the actual treasure that is in store for you. Okay. Because we do have this connection coming up with the World coming up twice. I feel like this is really saying that, you know, revisiting what really makes your heart smile and being honest of those things in your life that, you know, are very clearly you've known for a while are not what makes it smile, but investigating why you keep lingering within those dynamics, why you continue to linger within those realities. And some of it might have to do with like upbringing and just like belief systems that have been passed down generationally. But I am getting this sense of needing to free yourself from some sort of heaviness or some sort of like obligation that maybe there's like some level of guilt that I'm feeling that you guys might be experiencing, or that keeps you lingering in certain realities maybe longer than you know that you should. and certain actions you can take if something appears in your life like soon, or if you have a decision to be made, or like this could just be saying in your everyday, your like day-to-day experiences, if you're choosing between like, okay, I'm going out and about, right? And this actually happened today. Like I did not have like planned to go get manicures with my daughter, but we were out and about and it just like felt so exciting. Okay. So my fork in the road in that moment, it seems really small, but this is how you strengthen your intuitive heart. Okay. So I was like, yeah, like, okay, went grocery shopping. I feel like getting a manicure and taking Maya to get her first manicure, like that type of thing. My fork in the road was like, okay, go home and stick to this very logical kind of thing, or to like invite more magic in, and to like, you know, have such a beautiful conversation with the people there, and just like living more in realms where it feels like every day is magical, no matter how mundane and normal it might seem. Like we created such a pocket of beauty and magic and connection with other people, the people at the salon, and like all the women were so sweet and everyone was there. It was like so beautiful. It was so perfect. Right. And, you know, we had called a few different shops, and so we just ended up at the right shop. The first shop we went to, we just dropped in, they didn't have a space, you know? So it's like not getting down of like, oh, I followed my heart and the first thing didn't work, right? But it's like, okay, this didn't work. Okay, now what, right? But not lingering in something longer and being like, okay, that just means I'm being guided to something better, right? I'm being guided to something even more exciting. And I feel like that's another like mysterious way that spirit works, is remembering that this is a dream, right? And it is about the journey at the end of the day. It's not about, and you know, the journey, it has surprises, it has twists, it has turns, but generally it's the journey becomes so much more rich when there are those like surprises that you couldn't have created from this level. Okay. So throughout your day-to-day life, like choosing those things that light you up, choosing those things that feel like it's an extension of your soul, choosing those things that, you know, what would that future version of myself, what would they do, right? Like if I was already living that life that I feel like I'm not at quite yet, what would that version do? And just like aligning with that version, right? Finding celebration as much as you can in your day-to-day experience. So pile number one, this feels like a coherent reading. I'm going to leave this here for now. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up, comment any synchronicities down below, and I hope to see you soon. Hey, group number two, welcome to your reading for what is holding you back. Just so you guys know, there's 4 aspects to this reading. There's a lot going on the table. There's a lot that's going to be going on the table. That's what she said. So 4 aspects starting over here. We have the beliefs that are most dominant in your current paradigm. Next aspect, we have your soul's truth. So what makes your heart smile? Then we have your soul's untruth, what makes your heart sink. And lastly, we have practical actions you can take at this time to help you heal these outdated belief systems that are kind of holding you back from stepping into that next level, more expanded version of yourself. Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. So yeah, you guys chose Earth Guardian, stay rooted and grounded, and you chose the Warrior card, be fearless and stand strong. So I feel like your current beliefs, the current beliefs that are the most dominant in your reality right now is you're not afraid to put in work, okay? I feel like your beliefs might be suggesting that in order for something to happen, that you need to be the one making it happen. I feel like you guys understand that, you know, things take time, right? Good things take time. You know, it's slow, it's steady. Like I have big dreams, but it's about, okay, what are the practical steps that I need to take right now? But I feel like ultimately, you know, that like, I feel like you guys are here for a bigger purpose. You guys are fighting for something. And like, I'm getting this sense that what you're doing, what you're called to do in life, and just how you are meant to express yourself is very inspiring to other people. I feel like you care a lot, pile number 2, about why it is you're here and what it is that you're here to bring to the planet at this time. All right. So I also feel, yeah, I'm just feeling this sense that you guys like deeply know who you are. And of course that's, you know who you are, whether or not your experience fully, so like you fully experience that. So what I mean by that is sometimes we can be like a house divided against ourselves, where a deeper part of us knows our soul's calling, but then we have like this surface level kind of karmic chaos that needs to, you know, play itself out. And so everyone that's tuning into this pile today is going to be at different levels of that. But ultimately, pile number 2, you know why you're here. You know that you are here to like be like a light worker, like a warrior of light, all right? A warrior of truth. Okay. And you know too that you're very practical about it. You know that it's going to take getting your hands dirty, and like, you know, there's not this sense that I'm getting from this pile of like expecting, like having like such grandiose expectations of like, all right, I just started, you know, reading tarot for a week and I'm going to be a millionaire by next month or something, or I'm going to be self-sustained by next month, right? You're very grounded in your approach of what it is, whatever it is that you're called to do in life. And you know that it's going to take effort. It's going to take work. Okay. Let's see what else is going on in your field. We have the Devil. We have 2 of Wands. And we have the King of Cups. So yeah, I feel like regardless of like what comes up in your field, like negative belief systems or old patterns, old habits, I feel like you are a pile that you don't let it hold you back. Like you understand that when you're going towards something that feels newer and exciting and brighter, like you understand that insecurities are going to be there, but ultimately you don't have to respond to those. You don't have to live your life from that level of feeling insecure and not good enough or whatever it is, right? Again, there's this very like grounded and rooted sense that you guys are already embodying of like, you understand that this is part of life, right? And so you're fearless and you stand strong against your own devils, against your own demons, and you understand different levels, different devils, okay? But ultimately, you haven't let that hold you back in life, pile number 2, and that is so incredible. Like you're like, I know what I'm here for, and no matter how painful it is to like really see myself for who I am and where I'm actually at, like no matter how painful it might be, like I'm just getting a sense of like, you just like run into the fire, right? In this sense, the fire of purification. You're like, all right, I just want to get over this. I want to be past this level. I want to be freer. I want to feel more confident in myself. I want to be more emotionally expressive and feeling like so grounded in myself that, you know, no matter what part of me, what phase of me is being expressed, that ultimately I don't like, that doesn't have an effect on the core of who I am and how confident I actually am, right? Because pile number 2 understands true confidence is very human. True confidence doesn't mean you don't have insecurities. It's that you don't take your cue from the insecurities and you're just so relaxed in all aspects of who you are, okay? So we're going to get a little bit deeper into your soul's truth. So what makes your heart smile, pile number 2, starting with your archetype cards. So we have the Shaman. All right, so again, doing this deep rooted of like belief systems, okay? So like this is like soul retrieval. The Shaman card reminds me of soul retrieval. So it's really identifying those aspects of yourself that hold you back, that are outdated, and like not, you don't stand down, okay? You don't stand down in the face of a transformative process. And I am getting the sense with the snake here, and the Shaman is all about like, the shaman of a tribe is the individual that goes through like near-death experiences. You know, in traditional shamanism, like shamanism is something that has been found and studied all over the world. And so like generally when someone's getting initiated into being a shaman, they will actually be in a state of like physical and spiritual and mental and emotional like death. And if and when, like if is most important, they make it out alive, then you know, they successfully underwent that initiation process, and they share their wisdom from that space, and they're kind of seen as like someone that you would go to, someone that you trust for wisdom, because they went through the darkest depths. They faced their own devils, they faced their own shadows. And so I feel like what makes your heart smile is like you are content with this process. You understand, regardless of how messy it might get, that you know your value at the end of the day, right, is so much more than just like what happens on earth. Like you have a very pure heart is what I'm feeling. And that makes your heart smile. And it makes your heart smile too, because like, you know, good, I feel like a deeper part of you knows that good things come to people that have good hearts. And it's not because like it's a moral thing that you like virtue signal. It's like, no, this is really just like what you guys came in with is like, you guys, I feel like from a young age probably sense that you were here to help people, and you were here to like to make a big difference on the planet, even if you weren't able to conceptualize that. Oh my God, look at this. We have the Warrior. I don't know why I'm surprised, because I did see these come up, but I'm so in channeling mode right now that I forgot. Yeah. So you have the Warrior coming up twice, you guys. I'm a random number generator this too, and I'm going to see if I got this, because actually I have a tattoo that's inspired by this card, okay, on my thigh. So yeah, like I feel like what makes your heart smile is that you are actually living, like you stand behind what it is that you're fighting for. So it's not like, you do things, right? You don't go along with a crowd is what I'm getting. And I feel like you understand that takes a lot of balls. So like you speak up when you need to speak up. What makes your heart smile is doing the right thing, not the easy thing. Okay. Right and easy are not the same. And so that's what makes your heart smile, is when you are leaning towards those things and you're standing up for people when you feel like you're meant to, and you're speaking your truth when you feel like you're meant to, how you feel like you're supposed to express it. You're not getting lost in dogma or shoulds, coulds, woulds, or like how is it supposed to look or whatever, but you're just really like authentically tuning into what feels right for you. There's this deep sense of trust that you have gained within yourself, okay? And so, yeah, I feel like it makes your heart smile knowing that you've been given, like, you've seen the darkest parts of the human psyche and you're still fucking kicking. Like, nothing can bring you down. Not only are you kicking, but, like, you, like, shit rainbows everywhere you go, okay? Like, there is so much power here. And, yeah, I feel like your power, just, like, the more that you unearth it, the better that it feels, okay? So next we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. We have the Ace of Cups came up in the same section in the last pile too. And we have the Four of Swords. So yeah, there's no rush. I feel like you guys are in no rush. You know, I feel like there is a natural unfolding, and it's almost like a hands-off kind of thing too. What I'm feeling, it's like the more that you guys like relax, you see that the more things like speed up, and that you have noticed too, like your heart has noticed that the more that you try to like get things done, or you try to force things, like you try to force your power, the more awkward things become, and the less they work out. Like, I feel like when your heart recognizes, when you see, like, what am I trying to say? What makes your heart smile is when your personality in this time space continuum reality recognizes that you can relax into your power, and just how much more that magnifies your power than when you're like trying. Okay, that makes your heart smile. It's like, oh my God, I can just be me. Like, oh my God, I can just like say what's actually on my heart. I can say what I actually feel. And I feel like you guys have probably seen so much that you like naturally with someone that has really like had to fight to be where they are, and maybe even in some senses fight like psychologically or spiritually to just like stay alive. Man, like when you've seen the darkest of darks, like with the Shaman card too, the darkest of dark places, you're like, you know, try me. Like nothing really scares me, right? And so I feel like it makes your heart happy to know just like how resilient you are, and how your heart has stayed pure throughout this process, okay? And it makes your heart happy too that when you recognize that you don't have to force anything, and that everyone's on their own timeline, and it's all going to unfold as it's meant to. Yeah, and you're not abiding by, like, the Knight of Swords in reverse too reminds me of like, you're not abiding by like this hyper masculine kind of culture of needing to get shit done, and like hustle culture, which makes me want to puke, you know, but it's like you're doing it when it feels right, and as long as it feels right. And like you're not abiding by the mainstream narrative of like what it means to get things done, what it means to be in alignment with your dharma. You're like really have taken the time to figure that out for yourself, okay? So next, what's your soul's untruth? So what makes your heart sink? We have stand your ground, and we have deception and envy. Interesting that they're both sevens. Let's see what else is coming through. I feel like you give people second chances, maybe more so than they deserve. Is what's coming through first and foremost. And so what makes your heart sink is when like you've given, like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of thing. And so there is something here about not, you know, that is not a negative thing, okay? Like giving people more than one chance, or just, you know, that really shows your level of maturity and understanding. Okay, sometimes we do shitty things to people when we're in a shitty space mentally, emotionally, etc. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's part of it. And I also feel like when people don't understand why you stick up for what you stick up for, like I'm getting the sense of like people maybe gossip about you because you're just so different. You're so detached from the mainstream, or maybe your just ideals are different from like the communities you grew up around. And so people like don't understand why you are the way that you are, you know, because you guys are probably very eccentric and just like are very bold. And very maybe opinionated in some ways, and you're not afraid to say it how it needs to be said. And so that can cause people to like be envious of you, of your power, and of just like your ability to be so bold. And, you know, regardless of what is actually going on underneath the surface, people just envy that because, you know, it's just a quality that you don't always come across. You know, it's not something that is like, it's something that you have literally been training for your entire life, is to be at this level of like, all right, I'm not going to take any, you know, I'm not going to take any bullshit from people. But I'm going to, you know, honor is what you live by, right? You live by like, the code of honor, you know, your own golden rule kind of thing, golden standard, I should say. And so I feel like what makes your heart sink is when your best of intentions are misperceived. And that is most certainly, I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs. So your best of intentions are misperceived by other people. Really makes your heart sink. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was distracted by my dogs. Oh my God. All right, I'm back. Pile number 2. I had a certified mail come through. Not for me, but for Maya's dad. Okay, so yeah, what makes your heart sink essentially is when your best of intentions are misperceived. And what was the other one? Yeah, I don't remember, but it was recorded. Okay, so we can get a little bit deeper. We have 8 of Cups. Yeah, okay, so being so like standing firm in your truth has caused a lot of endings for you. I feel like you've had to walk away, and maybe things have ended in a sour way just because, yeah, it just might be part of your protection mechanism. Honestly, I can totally relate to this, that things end in a little bit of a sour way, because it's like once you start embodying more of your truth and your light, it's just like, yeah, I just feel like it can be so, people are like, who does she think she is? Or who does he think he is? You know, and so it can cause like these endings to happen where you're doing your best to like be forgiving and understanding that where they're coming from, right? Comparison and competition only happen when, like, they're more likely to happen when we don't feel like we're fully in our lane. Okay, so yeah, the endings that have come from that, and then like the way things have ended might have been sour. Okay, next we have the Knight of Pentacles, and lastly we have the Lovers. Yeah, so what makes your heart sink? I feel like the Lovers in this sense feels very symbolic of, look at both of their eyes, pile number 2. Like, they seem like they're up to no good, okay? Like, what are y'all conspiring right now? So I feel like this is very symbolic. Even this person, these dudes, man. If you're a dude, I don't mean you, but I mean these dudes, okay? I feel like what makes your heart sink are those times where you feel deceived by life, and when like you had really high hopes for something and like you stood your ground. It's like, I feel like what makes your heart sink is when you feel like you're doing the right thing and it ends up falling through, or it ends up like you end up feel like in a shitty position, or people misunderstand you and you're like, no, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for the people. Or, you know, feeling like you're doing the right thing and then ultimately it not working out, or feeling like, yeah, I think you guys just abide by such high morals and standards that when you realize that something you did at a certain level of consciousness was like not the right thing to do, I think you can carry a level of guilt about yourself, right? I feel like you can have this sense of like maybe being undeserving for good things because of like when you have these types of codes in your blueprint, it's not for no fucking reason. It's because you guys have met a lot of darkness in the human psyche, okay? And so you had to understand and learn firsthand what people do when they are immersed in so much darkness. And so you guys might have experienced versions of yourself that you weren't proud of. And so like there might be a part of you that feels undeserving or unworthy of like new things coming in. And it can be lovers, like that can absolutely be part of it. But this is also very symbolic of like, you know, you are so powerful, and I feel like sometimes people have maybe deceived you to like get you in a certain type of way, or like to have you work with them in a certain type of way. Like you're so powerful. I feel like on one hand, it's like you feel undeserving because like past versions of yourself. And then also I think you might have just been met by like that unworthiness cord was active because of that guilt you might still be carrying, pile number 2, that like other people like picked up on that a little bit and then were able to like sneak their way in, right? So Yeah, there's a lot that is coming through this. There's many different layers to this of what makes your heart sink. And I feel like it's a battle between what you've seen, like, and like what you've seen in your past, the darkness you've seen in your past, and then being able to understand the realness of life, but also expecting the best, and understanding that these are part of the growing pains, okay, of being someone that holds the amount of power that you do. And that it's not always like that. Like, you might have been deceived by lovers, you might have been deceived by friends, by people that are like appearing to be one way and then end up being another way. And that's just part of the human journey, right? Part of the human experience. And so that might just leave you being like, oh, like, you know, when's it going to give? Like, when am I going to find my person? Or when am I going to find people that are also in their power? So, you know, me shining doesn't make them like jealous or envious or anything. So we're going to get into the actions that you can take at this point in time, practical actions to help you heal these outdated belief systems. So we have Unfinished Symphony, and we have All That Glitters, King of Pentacles. All right, you're not giving up, okay? Those things that in the past that seemed too good to be true, you're standing your ground, all right? I think sometimes the thing about the warrior is we can get to a point of being a little bit humbled sometimes, because you can stand your ground so much that I feel like, if anything, you're like, okay, am I just being stubborn right now? But Spirit is coming through and saying, like, you're like, stand your ground in terms of what it is that you deeply feel you're here for. So you're going back to, like, you know, devils can be different devils, different levels, but I'm always going to choose that thing that makes me feel like more connected to myself. And it's generally new things and new experiences, new people, right? New opportunities to be generous. It's very much so like a generosity that is shared with, like, amongst other people. Okay, so there might be some like practical steps you can be taking as like channeling all of this like very powerful Kundalini kind of energy that you have and putting it towards your gifts, putting it towards those things that might even, again, feel too good to be true, because there's a little bit of a bitterness in the field, or a little bit of like, again, that kind of feeling deceived by life. Yeah, what else do we have? We have the Moon and Justice in reverse. This makes sense. Okay, so there is a sense here. Yeah, this is exactly what I was feeling with, like, being nervous or being afraid of old karmas catching up to you. And we do have Devil here. So I really do, honestly, pile number 2, I'm getting goosebumps all over. Like, I really feel like this has to do with, you guys might be holding yourself back unconsciously or subconsciously, because there's been old versions of yourself that you're not proud of, that you like had to explore, that was like part of your blueprint. And so now, again, it's really confirming this level of being undeserving. Okay, and this is really saying, if you've had it in your heart to forgive these people and these old experiences, then like you also need to have it in your heart to forgive yourself, because you don't feel like you're worthy of this, all that glitters, but it is in your blueprint. It is meant for you, right? And it's about, again, it's like taking that whole, the devil's there, but I'm not taking my cues from it to the next level. And there is a sense of like divine nonchalance and just like a reclamation of your own innocence. Okay, and really having, like, being able to hold space for yourself in terms of like, you had navigated through some darkness. And so when you absorb those types of codes that you had from a young age, it's like what a true light worker is, what a true warrior is you like adopt the darkness of humanity, and through you transmuting it, through your transmutation of it, that is your gift, that is your service. So not to think that, you know, I feel like you guys are just like, you are so honorable now, that any version of yourself in the past that was maybe not operating from this level of honor, like, you're holding on to that, you're holding on to it. You like, there's a sense of being unable to forgive yourself for certain things that you've done to people, or versions of yourself that you've been, or whatever. And yeah, this is a deep kind of battle. So I feel like understanding, like, your practical steps forward is understanding that energy is going to be there, and understand, like, noticing when you're unable to forgive yourself, or noticing that the better it starts to get, it's like there's something tethering you to your past, right? As it starts to get better, you're like, oh, but that one thing, or oh, that one thing that I said, or whatever, I don't deserve this. But it's like, we are never a finished symphony. Like, as long as you're growing, you're going to look back on past versions, and hopefully you're doing this consistently where you're cringing a little bit because you're like, oh my God, I was like, so that was not it. But that's a part of being fully on this type of path where you're never finished. It's never done, right? It's always unfolding. And so you're never going to get to a point, hopefully you'll never get to a point to where you feel like everything's complete, because then that means you've stopped growing. So understanding that's part of the process and letting yourself off the fucking hook, man. Like, you have been through some shit, okay? And you tend to forgive other people pretty easily. And that forgiveness needs to be turned in on yourself. You're so gracious with other people, I feel. Giving people a second chance is definitely, that was the other thing that came through. What makes your heart sink is when you give someone a second chance and they don't deserve it. And so you're like, God, why did I fucking do that? Like, betraying of your own self, okay? But it's like, you have such high standards, all right? It's a breath of fresh air, but it's also what is currently holding you back is feeling guilty for these past versions of yourself and worried about karmic retribution. And I just saw 11:11 on the clock. And so feeling like you don't deserve it, or like the shoe is going to drop or something like that. And that's not the name of the game. It's like, you undo karma. With karma is essentially how we undo it is just a willingness to learn. So if you're not willing to learn in this life, then, however many lifetimes it takes you. But if you're willing to learn, which pile number 2, I can deeply feel you're willing to learn, then it's like that you transmute it that much easier, right? And you have a misperception of how karma and like things catching up to you, you have a misperception of how that works, okay? And so at the very least, like, just be aware of that. When you start to feel guilty, or when things start to go really good, and then all of a sudden you're brought back to like that one thing you did, or something like that. No, that's a misperception, okay? And just like, what am I here to learn from this? What does this mean about forgiving myself? What does this mean about like what it means to be part of the human collective, etc.? Okay, so I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today. My pile number 2, if it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below if it resonates. Subscribe to my channel if you've been here before, and I hope to see you soon. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading for what is holding you back. So there's a lot going on the table. I'm going to break down really quick each section. So right here are the beliefs that are most dominant in your paradigm currently, and then we're going to dive into your soul truth. So what makes your heart smile, your soul's untruth, what makes your heart sink, and lastly, the practical actions you can take at this point in time in order to help heal these outdated belief systems that are holding you back from stepping into and embodying a more authentic version of you, okay? So first of all, with like where you're operating at currently, I feel like your belief systems, like, you understand that in order to enjoy the type of growth and the type of fulfillment that it is that you guys crave in this lifetime, that you need to trust your instincts, right? And that this is a game of following your heart. This is a game of going towards those things that set you free holistically, and understanding, like, I feel like you guys are probably very in tune already with your intuition, and you've already seen great results. You've already seen the beauty that is born from trusting your intuition and following your heart. I'm also guided to the fact that they're both like holding something like precious in their hands. So I feel like you guys don't take your incarnation lightly. Like, you take it very seriously. Like, you see your life as a gift, and I feel like there's also gifts that you have to offer, that you want to offer. And ultimately, like, there's a certain level of trust that I sense when I'm looking into the eyes of these ladies. Like, there's a trust, and there's like a confidence, like a subtle, like a very noticeable, subtle, like permeable confidence that emanates from these ladies. So we're going to get a little bit deeper of where what beliefs are most dominant right now. I feel like wisdom like guides you guys a lot, and just like divine synchronicities through animal totems, animal symbols, and just like symbology in general. I feel like you guys are very in tune with you're very in tune with your guides, and you're very in tune with your soul's blueprint and how to navigate that, right? And I feel like you guys know that ultimately you do believe that, life, it is possible living a life that all right, I don't know where I left off because the dogs were getting ham, but I feel like I was saying that ultimately you guys, your belief systems support the fact that you know, life is there. It is possible. It is possible to live a life that is truly holistically fulfilling, where you're not super stressed out. You're, you know, maybe have like a nice stream of abundance or a nice little flow for yourself in life. But ultimately, it's something that you have created kind of yourself, and that you have like extricated yourself from the matrix or the system, so to speak. So getting a little bit deeper, we have the 10 of Wands, we have the 9 of Swords, and we have Strength. So I feel like you guys understand that this type of life is not meant to be easy. Like, or it's not easy at first. I should say at the very least, it's not always easy. Like, growth and reaping rewards from growth generally comes from understanding that, like, you know, staying in paradigms longer than we should have. And what generally catalyzes us towards growth is being like not okay with where our life currently is, like what our circumstances are reflecting to us right now. Like, you know, there's a certain level of discomfort and just like dissatisfaction with our life as it is in this current moment that causes us to like go on a new journey, and at least to address what we've been carrying around for too long. I feel like, yeah, I'm sensing some like heaviness. I'm sensing that although you guys feel like life can be very abundant and very fulfilling, I am sensing this because it has been challenging, right? It's been hard. So I feel like there's like an internal battle that's going on, where on this, you know, a big part of you deeply wants and deeply desires this and feels like this is what you're here for. But I feel like there's a lot of heaviness that might be coming in from just carrying over past experiences into your present and basing like what can happen in the future based off of what has happened in the past. But ultimately, I do feel that you guys aren't, group number 3, you guys aren't going to give up. I mean, that's very clear that despite all of this, I feel you guys are just ready to like start seeing the results, maybe even more so than you already are. And I feel like you already have had really great glimpses of what happens, like the beauty and the growth and the rewards that come from like trusting your instincts in general. But I think you're just ready for more, okay? I feel like you're ready for the next level. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into this reading with what makes your heart sing? What makes your heart smile? The Threshold and the Underworld. Interesting that these are both like places. So I'm going to flip over your tarot. We have the Moon. Yeah, I feel like you guys, group number 3, really learn a lot, or there's a lot that, man, these paths have been so similar. Maybe it's just the people that are drawn to my channel, just because you guys, like, I do have a lot of older souls drawn to my channel, but like overcoming, like with the Moon and the Underworld, like overcoming your deep insecurities, like pushing on regardless of what your belief system suggests, is like really makes your heart happy, right? That's your soul truth, is to not fall prey to your fantasies, or not fall prey to like your illusions, I should say, right? And to not let like your thought forms get the best of you. I mean, because we do have fire and air here, so I feel like, you know, that combination, when you have like fire and air are both very like unstable elements, and so when you combine them, things can get very combustible. So I feel like, if anything, like you guys have had a lot of moments where you've gone through your underworld, like you've like gone into the depths of like the things that have made you the most uncomfortable. Like you've had no choice but to face your deepest insecurities. And so I feel like what makes your heart happy is that you have like stuck around, that you've not given up when the going has gotten tough. And that also might be aiding to the fact of like we can get so accustomed to how good it feels, like to go through these processes of like death and rebirth, which I feel like it's just part of the human experience, but I feel like it doesn't always have to feel so hard. Okay, let's get a little bit deeper. Yeah, oh my God, exactly what I was just saying. So the 5 of Wands, it doesn't always have to feel so hard. And we have death coming up. Yeah, I was definitely feeling like with the Underworld, with death and the Moon, the Threshold, I feel like what makes your heart happy is that despite how hard things have gotten, that you do still have hope for your future. And you still believe that good things can come to you. And yeah, you have a positive relationship to these death cycles. And yeah, I'm just getting a sense that you guys don't give up, and that you go through one breakthrough after another, that you're constantly up leveling, you're constantly meeting yourself, and you're not settling, you're not taking no for an answer. And you're willing to let yourself like mess up, you're willing to let yourself like to meet yourself, to meet these uncomfortable aspects of yourself, right? I feel like you guys, there's a willingness behind it, right? Despite how much pride may or may not be involved in the process, right? I feel like there's, as you progress on your path, there's like almost like a deepening and a surrendering into this inevitable process, and becoming just like much more like at peace, and just you're less anxious because you're like not denying the parts of yourself that, you know, live in the shadow, because we all have it. And I feel like because of that, you know, the more that you lean into like the acceptance of those insecurities or the acceptance of your shadow, the quicker you go through like these death cycles. Like you don't linger in them longer than you're meant to. And so there is a sense of like you're giving the battle to something greater than yourself. Like you're like, I'm choosing my battles wisely, and you know, utilizing your willpower to not perpetuate false narratives and like limiting perceptions as much as you can, and utilizing your willpower to like take care of yourself and to like, you know, kind of nurture yourself when you are going through these like significant purges that I feel like you guys can tend to go through. So what is your soul's untruth? It's funny that it literally says truth. So what makes your heart sink? Interesting. Where was I getting that? Trapped in fear? Yeah. So we have the 8 and 9 of Swords energy here coming up. So I feel like you guys have hope. There's a hopefulness, but I feel like maybe you guys can feel so trapped in I feel like what makes your heart sink is that like on a deeper level, you know better. On a greater level, maybe is a better way of saying that. Like, you know what's up, you know what you deserve, you know what is possible. Like, you know, when you're not trying so hard, that like things go really well for you, and that you really appreciate the version of yourself that you are. I am getting the sense though that there's a lot of like, there might have been moments of significant like trauma in your life that, you know, kind of like strums this anxiety cord that makes you feel like, that like is almost debilitating, I think. You know, pile number 3, I feel like in some senses, like it feels like that house divided against itself energy, where a higher aspect of you knows like you guys would be the beings that I feel like are very drawn to like truth teachings and just understanding the nature of reality. And so I feel like what makes your heart sink is that you maybe have been working at this for some time, and it seems like you can't get past your own self, your own limiting beliefs, your own like these things that feel like they've been lingering in your field for some time. I'm getting the sense that you are currently feeling that you're on the brink of a breakthrough, right? And it might feel like one of those where you're like, I'm either gonna like have a breakthrough or I'm gonna have a psychotic break, which, you know, I feel like it's not gonna be the latter. I feel like as long as you, you know, again, don't succumb to your fears and what's going on in your mind, that, you know, you'll make it out of this like very quickly. I feel like there's just a lot here that's saying that you've had to navigate a lot of shadow and a lot of misperception in your reality. This could be generational. This could be, again, things that you went through as a young child that are kind of like echoing and reverberating into your adult ears. And it's like you haven't given up, but you're like, when the fuck is the going gonna give? You know, like when are these scales going to tip, so to speak? So I feel like when you have moments of re-meeting old versions of yourself that feel anxious or just don't feel as empowering as you generally know yourself to be, like for whatever reason, certain people hold certain codes and cause us to feel more anxious than other times, or like those situations where you're like, this is not me. Like, why do I feel so like, is it so hard to just like be authentic in this moment? I feel like, you know, what makes your heart sink is when you overjudge yourself. There is a sense of like being very hard on yourself, because on one hand, like, you know better and you might be teaching these things in some senses, and then, you know, your human nature comes and you feel like you kind of judge yourself, or you really judge yourself, okay? But I feel like what makes your heart happy is when those things come up and you allow that cycle. You allow yourself to be taken into the underworld so that rebirth can happen, and you're not fighting it. But what makes your heart sink is when you assume that there's something wrong about you, or you assume you're not as far as you should be, or not as far as like you thought you were. Like that's just all born of the mind. And what the fuck does that mean anyways, right? This is like a very non-linear path that we are existing in within these realms. Okay, let's get a little bit deeper. We have the Page of Swords. We have the Ten of Pentacles, and we have the Empress. So there's a sense here of like looking over your shoulder, or like, I feel like maybe being like embarrassed about I am getting a sense that you guys might be in charge of people, or you guys might work in group settings a lot, and, or like, I feel like these damn dogs. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, group number 3, but I feel like it's like, you know yourself, like deep down, I feel like you know that it's like one of those things where it just feels like just a little bit like who you truly know yourself to be, like, and what sometimes comes up to the surface, what sometimes runs itself out, I feel like can just be a little bit debilitating because of like, I don't know, I feel like you guys put a lot of pressure on yourself. Like maybe this is why I'm getting the sense that maybe you guys have some sort of platform where you are generally seen as like the teacher, or like you're in environments or something where you're generally supposed to be this person that always has their stuff together. And I feel like generally you feel like that, but I think just like, you know, most people on this planet, you've been through some shit that is just like still, I don't want to say haunting you, but it's still, you're still going through those cycles of healing. Okay. And so like the thought of other people like judging you, people in your community, people that are around you, you know, I feel like also what could be like, what makes your heart sink is that people that have watched you continue to glow up, like thinking that you're fake, or, you know, there is this sense of caring too much about how other people perceive you, because it seems like you go through these cycles quite a bit, or it's written in your field. I am, again, in this pile also getting like a lot of Scorpio type of energy, and just like that rebirth energy. So I feel like worrying too much about how other people are going to perceive you, or like people that have been like part of old versions, like older paradigms of you being like, oh, that person's not like that. That person's never like, you know, that confidence is fake, or, you know, that like, I feel like you just tend to outgrow people and outgrow things very quickly, that it's almost like a fear of like, what are these people going to think that I've walked away from? Or like, you know, what are they saying about me, or what do they think of me now? You know, even if it's like something subtle, but I feel like there's something about old versions of you coming back to haunt you, or just like, and also feeling so much potential and feeling like you have so much to offer, but like you can't get past these like karmic barriers, or you can't get past something. You're waiting for that, you know, final release type of moment, that judgment moment where you're just like reclaiming the entirety of who you're meant to be. And so because that might not be happening on your timeline, that might be a little bit debilitating for you. And there's a lot of judgment I'm feeling, and that's part of what makes your heart sink, is thinking that where you are now is not perfect. Okay, so we're going to dive into the practical actions you can take at this time to help you heal these outdated belief systems. So we have community, interesting, that's coming up again. And we have breathe. This is the first time. Oh, this card is so pretty. Yeah, I mean, this does remind me of what it, like, I was feeling that link to like trauma, or that link to, yeah, because we have breathe coming up and we have these two cards, I am feeling there's a sense of like needing to rebalance the nervous system, and to find moments of peace, and to like, as much as you can when you're in places that kind of stimulate this like sense of anxiety, and maybe that's like being around people for some of you, like doing your best to just relax. Okay, so it's so interesting that, you know, like the times that I have felt the most awkward in my past is when I'm trying to like put on a show, or when I'm like trying, right? When I'm forcing something. And that's why like I kind of hate dating because of it, because like I feel like I'm forced, or like not forced. It's no one's making me do this, but I just feel pressured that who I am now is not good enough, right? Or there's like a subconscious subliminal thing. And so I'm like, when I start putting on a show, I don't even like who I am. Like, I feel rigid. I don't feel like I'm bringing my best self. But when I feel really comfortable around someone, like, that's when I'm relaxing. And so I'm a lot funnier and I'm more witty. And it's just like, it's so much more flowy and so much more just like so much better all around. And so I feel like practical actions you can take is when you get around people or when you get around environments that kind of used to stimulate this sense of like anxiety or just like feeling like you're not putting your best foot forward or feeling like, God, here it comes again. Like, I've done so much work and I've felt so empowered. And then why is it when I get it in these situations, I start to feel like so beside myself, and then I go home and I judge myself, and then I'm in this fucking karmic knot forever. Okay. Right. So breathing, right? Relaxing. And for some of you guys, like something like Kundalini yoga, 444 on the clock, Kundalini yoga, or like breath work, somatic release breath work could really help you guys. But just learning to relax in those situations that in the past have brought you a lot of discomfort and dis-ease, and remembering you don't need to put on a show for who, for what, right? So we have the King of Wands, the Chariot, and the Nine of Pentacles. So yeah, I feel like your guides are really giving you permission to lean in right now. And so if you've been getting invitations to go out and to meet new people and to like, get new energy sparked in your life, like I feel like that would be really serving for you, because I think you tend to stay in these cycles when you're in the same environments that reinforce this ideology. But I feel like the more that, just like any other muscle, the more that you get out there, the more that you practice. Like when I was teaching fitness, this is actually something that I learned too. Like at first, I felt like very rigid in my classes, and I like would memorize everything that I would say before teaching in front of like 30 people. And then it's like, once I did it for enough time, I got more confident and comfortable in my own skin and, being like accepting myself in that type of role. And so I would relax and I wouldn't plan what I would say. And because of it, like I would tap into the raw power of that moment and what people actually needed, because, relaxation taps you into like that shared field of consciousness when you're around people. So you do respond from flow a lot more easily. So, it's like a sense of relaxing into your power, because I do see that you guys have a lot of power. You guys have a lot to give. Like there's a lot of like this fiery type of like masculine go-getter, like not gonna back down type of energy that's coming through. And you guys, like, I feel like it's just putting yourselves in, like giving yourself permission to surprise yourself and not try so hard, right? Because there is like a relaxed nature over here with this Nine of Pentacles energy of just like, I'm going to stop and smell the roses. I'm going to check out this bird, like, not taking your cues from social scripts, right? And just like the script of society in general. But I really do feel like, these outdated belief systems, to wrap this all up, I feel like what is holding you back is overall, like, to tie it together, is you are exactly where you're meant to be. And I feel like you guys don't actually truly see how far you've come and how many transformation cycles you've been through. I feel like you guys expect a lot of yourself, a lot from yourself. And when you don't measure up to your own expectations, you can get really hard on yourself. Okay. And so it's like, you did not come here to fuck around. You are here to address a lot of karma, right? You're here working through and with a lot of karma. And so what goes along with that is like discomfort and dis-ease and a lot of cycles of death. And a lot of this isn't just your own. It's like part of the service that you came here to take on for the planet this time. So yeah, what's holding your back is your own judgment, your deep judgment of yourself. You're so hard on yourself, and you guys are so beautiful. You have so much to give. You have so much to offer. Like there is so much in store for you, but I feel like your biggest block is just like how much you judge yourself. It's interesting because I'm trying to like dive a little bit deeper into like why that is such a block, but I feel like it's just your own level of relaxing into life. Because with trusting your instincts, it's like we want to take that to a next level of like, the more relaxed you are in all situations, the more that you are likely to make more harmonious decisions for yourself in your life. Okay, and I do feel like this has in some way like there is something big that is going to be born from you, and just like that you're going to be part of with this community card, like, and this King of Wands and this Chariot. Like you are here to make big change on the planet is what I really feel. And so as long as you can remain centered, like it's really important that you guys learn how to find your center, and that you're like, because this has been so rampant in your life, it's, you know, don't expect it to like untie itself overnight, okay? And so like meditating as much as you can every day, every morning, you know, 30 seconds, right? Doesn't have to be long, like 5 minutes or something, to where you're reestablishing your center when you start every day, because then you're less likely, like when you've made your connection with that higher self, you're less likely to get swept up in the comings and goings, and you're less likely to take the bait of like these negative thoughts that tend to persist when you feel like you're not showing up how you're supposed to show up, okay? And you're just allowing yourself to, like, whatever feels the most organic, just let it play itself out, and I feel like you'll really surprise yourself. But yeah, I do feel like you guys have a lot to give, and it can be very frustrating with how fiery, like the sense of like, I am getting the sense of boldness, and like you're just so fiery, and so fire, that element, it just wants to burn through the bullshit as fast as it can, just to like be revealed, that diamond. And so that's honestly, it looks like it's part of your soul's contract, your soul's blueprint, is that like it's gonna speed up the more that you breathe and the more that you relax into your power, versus trying to like force it or think that where you're at, who you are now, is not perfect in this moment. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Please comment any synchronicities down below if you're guided to do so. And I do hope to see you again, pile 3. Hey, group number 4, welcome to your reading for what is holding you back. So 4 aspects that we're diving into today. There's a lot going on the table, so I'm just going to break down really quick what's going on. So over here we have the beliefs that are the most dominant currently in your paradigm. Right here we have your soul's truth, so what makes your heart smile. Over here we have your soul's untruth, so what makes your heart sink. And up here we have practical actions that you can take at this time to help heal outdated belief systems. All right, so starting with your current paradigm. So right away I'm seeing the hawk, right away I'm seeing a snake. You know, transform and unveil your gifts. I feel like a big part of you understands, like, your belief systems are kind of telling you that you have more to do, or that you're not quite ready, or that you're not there yet. You're not where you need to be in order to like, there's a sense of you feeling like you're not ready. And that, you know, and we're going to see like if these beliefs are supportive of, you know, what's holding you back or what's allowing you forward. Okay. So I feel like ultimately you do know that, you know, the the path that you're on is one that takes devotion and it takes commitment. And I don't think you guys are here for overnight success, okay? But I do feel like there is something in your belief system that says you're not ready yet, or you're not transformed enough, or that you're not transformed enough yet. But I feel like you do understand that you have a lot to give, and as long as you stay consistent, and as long as you like put in the effort, that you could make something happen with your innate gifts and your talents. There might also be some degree of like not knowing what those are yet, and feeling like you have yet to discover what you're good at and what you can put your energy behind. And, you know, knowing that if I knew what it was, I would be so committed, I would be so devoted, but maybe still being unsure of what it is that you have to give. Okay. So getting a little bit deeper, we have the Knight of Swords. Yeah. So I feel like there might be some like deep questioning of yourself and what you're good at. Pile number 4, I feel like you guys might have a lot of doubts around what it is that you're guided to do or how you're guided to do it, and might question yourself and might question your authority, or like imposter syndrome is kind of what I'm getting here. Be devoted and committed. Like, okay. So I feel like it's almost like a conflicting belief system of not wanting to get bored, or you guys might be very bored with how things are, and so that might be what's like ushering you along or wanting you to move forward. But just like being aware of this like boredom type of energy that's lingering in your field, and just like, you know, what are you willing to be devoted and committed for, is a question that you can ask yourself. Because I'm getting this sense of like not settling, right? That there's something that you might be settling for, and you might always be putting off this thing for the future, right? Like it's not here yet. Or, you know, one day I will kind of thing. And so there's like this apathetic or just like bored type of energy. And what's great is that like this is the 5 of Cups, so it's like being honest with where you're at. You know, 5 cards are about just like really being honest with like not where you want to be and where you've been, but just like what's actually up. And so I feel like there's a lot of like introspection that you've been doing, but maybe at like, you know, maybe you've been devoted and committed to a narrative that actually doesn't serve you. 8 of Cups, see your seeds grow. There's a lot of like hurt, right, in your belief system. So I feel like on some level, it's like you understand what this journey entails of you, like what's holding you back. I think you're very aware of what it is, but I feel like there's a sense of maybe not wanting to take the journey it is asking of you, or that ensues, or just like underestimating your abilities to just like thrive in the midst of whatever like hardships you're inevitably going to be met with on this type of path, right? But I feel like there's a sense of like, you feel like you can't do it. Like you, on one hand, you're like, okay, I have gifts. What are my gifts? How do I unveil what my gifts are? You know, if I knew what it was, I would like be so devoted and so committed to it. And I know it would flourish. I've seen it happen for other people, but I just don't know what it is. I feel like there's some definite confusion, and your belief systems are very conflicting at this time. And I feel like there might be a fear too of like what's going to change in your life when you do step on this path, because I feel like there's an awareness of what's right now is not it. It's not working, or a certain part of it is not it. It's not working. And so there's like a deep desire to, just like step beyond it. Right. But maybe not knowing how to. Knowing that, okay, it is possible. I've seen it happen for other people, but could it really happen for me? Okay, so we're going to get deeper with what makes your heart smile, pile number 4. We have the Flame. And we have Agape, which is like the card for the heart. So what makes your heart smile is when you have that passion, when you're sparked, right? When, you know, despite all of this energy that you might be feeling, that you choose to move forward, that you don't give up, you don't take the bait of what this has to mean. I feel like this, like what makes your heart happy is when you continue to trust in life. And like there's almost a sense of like, oh God, like again, or like feeling so betrayed in a way that things haven't worked out, that your heart is very happy. Like your soul is coming through and acknowledging that it is very elated and uplifted when you, despite what all the darkness around you might suggest, that you know that it's for a reason, and you don't make it mean that you're unworthy or that it's just not meant for you. When you're aware of the narrative and you have that hope, that spark of hope again, like that's what makes your heart so happy, because it's like, yes, this is what the hero's journey is about. It's about like, not that you're never going to make this, like what shapes the hero. Like if you watch Hercules, or if you watch any movie that's about the hero, which most movies are like playing that same archetype of like someone's already great, they already have the gifts, right? They don't become anything, but it's like they get out of their own fucking way with all these insecurities and all the conditioning, all the bullshit that other people have told them that they should be and who they're not, right? And they don't accept, they don't settle, right? But no matter how painful it is to go through those processes of transformation, it's like those challenges are what makes the hero. And so when you tell yourself that type of story, when you lean into it, that's what your soul is proud of. That's what your heart is so happy, because that's what's going to shape you in the end. It's not waiting to be perfect, but it's just like being devoted and committed to yourself, and to, you know, transforming yourself and to making it bigger than yourself. Right? When you're aligning to something that is greater than your own self, that's when you're more in flow, and you're not so hard on yourself. All right. So next we have the Page of Swords, the 3 of Cups, and the 4 of Pentacles. So I feel like when you're giving yourself permission to like actually enjoy your life, like celebrate, like not be so like not suffocating yourself so much. And I feel like there's a healthy amount of wisdom here, like wisdom teachings. The Page of Swords oftentimes can remind me of just like learning new things too. I feel like this is also saying that what makes your heart happy is when you're connecting with people that get it, connecting with people that get you. And when you're not trying to prove yourself. With the 4 of Pentacles and the Page of Swords, when you don't care who's watching, you don't care what it looks like, you don't care like how old you are, you don't care if you didn't blow up overnight, you don't care, and that you're just doing it, right? You're just doing it because you don't know what else that you would do, and because it's really what sets your heart on fire, and you're not taking your cues from the outside in. based off of like what other people have done, what's worked for other people, you know, not taking, there is a lot here about, I was sensing a lot of loneliness too with this Sage energy, and how like this depicts a lot of like lonely kind of energy. So I feel like what makes your heart happy is like celebrating it with other people, being around other people that get you, people that are on a similar path as you, even if it's just people like over social media or something. Like some of my greatest supporters have not been people I know in person, although I do have them, but literally it's been like some of my greatest allies and my greatest encouragers. Majority of them, like 75% of them, are on like people online. Okay. And so I feel like this is like not dimming to fit yourself in, but you know, it's all about like when you find your niche, it's like, you know, don't share your truth. Don't cast your pearls in front of swine. So another way of saying that is like knowing your audience when you do choose to share your soul's truth, or when you do choose to like speak and give and live from the level of your heart. It's like, are we being discerning? Like your heart is very appreciative when you are discerning of like, okay, this person rejected me. It doesn't actually have anything to do with me, and it's just wasn't the right person to share this with, right? Versus like when you come into this space of understanding more of your audience and understanding more of your gifts and just like your niche, what you're here for, then you're not going to take that as personally, because there's nothing like, what is that saying? Like Albert Einstein, like if you know, take a fish and put it in a tree, it's going to think that it's stupid, right? Or take a monkey and put it in the water, it's going to think it's stupid. But no, the monkey is a brilliant climber, the fish is a brilliant swimmer, but it's just like finding yourself in the right environment. So maybe you've just like part of this apathetic energy and just like this, I'm kind of over it, and like what do I have to give, and people don't understand me. Maybe it might be some of the energy. I feel like part of what's going to help you through that is like your heart is very happy the more that you learn how to discern those types of energies. And when you're not taking it so personally, because it, you know, it's nothing personal. How people treat us is never personal. It's always a reflection of their own internal paradigms. So what makes your heart sink? Suffering in silence. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. This makes more sense. So there is a lot here about opening up to other people with this loneliness energy. And I feel like there's a lot of growth. Like you underestimate how much growth can happen by just being real with other people. I feel like you guys might have been used to like going through battles by yourself, and there might be a certain degree of you that doesn't feel safe, or there's like shame around certain things that you've been through, and like, you know, expecting so much from yourself that you don't give yourself permission to be a human. So there is a lot here about like you guys have so much like emotional wherewithal and so much to share from the level of the heart. I feel like what makes your heart sink and what is not part of your soul truth is when you are trying to fight the battles by yourself, because I feel like you don't see how much you like, like suffering in silence. It's this whole thing about shame. Like where does shame grow? Shame grows in spaces that suggests that there is something to be shameful about. And generally that's when you're not sharing about it, right? When you're not talking about it. But when you're around the right people that can hold this space for you, like they're not going to make you feel, they're not going to like being around the wrong people. So sharing something to people that aren't at a capacity to hold the type of space that you need for something, they're usually going to make you feel shittier about it. They're going to deepen your worries and deepen your anxieties about the thing. But when you're sharing it with the right people, like when you're sharing it with the right people, they're going to help zoom your perspective out and help you see it more from the soul's perspective. And so when you're sharing with the right people, you feel good no matter how like deep the shame might have been, just by you opening it up. I call it airing out the ego. By airing out your ego, like you don't give shame a breeding ground, right? Again, you don't make it, okay, like if I'm talking about it, then yeah, there's just like a sense of perfection or a sense of needing to be logical about certain things. And I just feel, I don't know, like pile number 4, I really just get the sense that you might have had bad experiences with sharing things with people that couldn't hold the space for the power that you brought forth. And so it ended up making you feel shittier, right? And so it made you feel like this, you know, single candle, like in this dark ass, damp ass room. Oh yeah, look, there's even more candles here, like lighting each other. So yeah, when you're like sharing around the right people, it feels like, and this is something I'm learning too, so it's really interesting that I'm having the opportunity to speak on this now, but you know, it helps dissolve so much of the karmic knot around these things that we suffer over, and around feeling not good enough. And we don't understand how like these emotional blockages and feeling unsafe to share our emotions in this world is like a huge part of that is like the heart is your emotional guidance system. So the more that you feel like it's an unsafe place to like share your heart, like the more that you're blocking off also those deep moments of greater joy, right? Because it's like, I don't want to share suffering with others because of what they're going to think of me. Well, then you're also not going to be able to share joy with others, you know? And it's like, you will feel so much safer showing up as you are in all situations, the more that you again are going to the right people, but the more that you're like not feeling like you have to prove something, or you don't have to be someone that you're not, and you don't have to have your shit together. I don't know where we got this idea that we have to have it all together all the time. Like that is so bullshit, and it's unrealistic. That's not what it means to be on this type of journey. Okay. And so I feel like there's so much growth that is had, and you will experience more and more growth across the board the more that you just like share with other people. And it seems like, well, what does this have to do? Like, yeah, this is about what's holding you back. Okay. So this could mean anything, right? So what is currently holding you back from what your heart really wants? Your heart really wants more authentic connection, right? And I feel like, but this is saying across the board, you're going to notice across the board that you are able to like, your business is starting to increase, or the way that you're showing up in work, people are noticing that you're carrying yourself differently. You're being offered promotions because of it, because there's a sense of like, once that shame cord has really been addressed and you see that there's nothing that there, like, it's the biggest fucking illusion there is. Okay. Like, I feel like it will loosen up so much in your field that you're going to take off. But I deeply feel that your belief systems are just like, the fact that you've been through so much, you've had like these uncomfortable experiences and known these uncomfortable parts of yourself, that there's a lot of like shame and suffering and silence that really creates a lot of barriers in terms of like how much prosperity you experience across the board. And so, yeah, airing out the ego is essentially, you're essentially saying to your subconscious, it's no big deal. Like I'm talking about this right now, it's no big deal. And then when you're doing that around the right people, they reinforce the fact that, it's no big deal, right? And you'll start to see how, you were, how a lot of that insecurity was just like self-perpetuated. But yeah, I mean, think about the people in your life that you're so comfortable around, right? It's generally people that are probably very transparent and very honest about their feelings. It's because they're not hiding anything. You're not getting that sneaky energy of like, them trying to hide something, even though it's not a malicious thing. We can tell when someone's not being fully themselves. And so naturally that's going to make us uncomfortable, even though it could be a very, very harmless thing, but we don't know that. We just sense that there's not full transparency. Okay. So next we have 9 of Swords coming up again. What's holding you back is, what makes your heart sink is trying to deal with this. Yeah. This is the 9 of Swords energy right here, is feeling like you need to deal with this on your own. Feeling like it's actually real. I feel like there's a lot of like this suffering and silence. Again, the shame has really taken a strong root into your heart, pile number 4, and it's really wanting to break free. Yeah, break free of that with the 9 of Wands. You've been doing this for a long time is what I'm hearing. And you've suffered too much in silence, right? You've done this too much on your own, and it's time to really open up more. I mean, for me, even it's been like, it's part of my dharmic path. And the more that I'm just honest about what I've been through, because I used to never tell anyone about anything I was going through, even as a young girl, there was like so much embarrassment that certain things happened to me as a young girl that I took a lot of emotional like things on my own back when I didn't have to. And it's not until now that I'm opening up and I'm seeing what true strength and true power is. Okay. And it's not suffering in silence. And yeah, I feel like that's just saying that you've been doing this for so long, and you've been, honestly, I just heard crying yourself to sleep. Like it's such a heaviness. The heart feels so heavy, like it wants to come forth, but that's when your heart sinks, is when you like convince yourself that it's not okay. You have to hold it close, right? It's not safe. And lastly, we have the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, I feel like there's just been some deep feelings of self-rejection and maybe even rejection from other people. And so that's why it's felt very lonely. And maybe that's why too, like your guides are like, okay, we're going to focus on the gifts and focus on like the dharmic path and that type of thing, like that we can do this at the same time. But I feel like this is so dominant, like this sense of mistrust and not being able to be who you authentically are. That's a block into unveiling your gifts, is when you feel like you have to filter yourself, right? I mean, the only way to activate and to like allow your soul stream to come in is through the heart. And it seems like there's some mistrust of allowing your heart to hold that type of space for you, to just like be a space to be open, right? So actions that you can take: serendipity, having more fun in your life, right? Believing that things are possible. TikTok. Yeah, I feel like it's like releasing this idea that, you're on a time frame, or that you have to do it in a certain time. It's like, to me, this is very symbolic for releasing your ideas of like how things should be going, right? Releasing your idea of like any type of shoulds or coulds or woulds, or like who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to carry yourself. And yeah, there is a prioritizing with more of this green energy coming through. There is a prioritizing of your heart. Okay. Yeah. Healing, taking time, not giving up, seeing your North Star, not taking these things to mean that it's a barrier, that like this great life is not meant for you. But again, there is just there's like a reawakening that wants to happen, or a deepening of your heart that wants to happen here. The Magician and the Page of Swords again. I feel like this is really saying that once this energy turns around I feel like there might be a lot of energy going towards like looking bad, or like wanting to save face or something. And that energy can be, once you're relinquishing that, of like remembering that everyone, like, for the most part, people don't give a fuck, okay? Like, people are so immersed in their own bullshit that, like, they don't care, okay? The right people, just like soul family and stuff, obviously there's going to be a resonance, and you guys are going to be like healing together and talking about it together and just like enjoying the process of growth together. But honestly, what your guides are coming through and saying here, pile number 4, is like the people that you think care and that you're worried about caring the most, like, probably don't, right? And then once you release that energy, you can actually utilize that, right? All of that's like eating away your Shakti. That's eating away like your power. And so once we can like release some of that and trust other people to like hold the space that you need, so you're not suffering by yourself, it's like, I feel like you're going to be so surprised at how quickly things start to move for you, and how so much starts to make sense for you, and things are going to feel like so divinely in flow. But I really do feel like this is saying like, what makes your heart happy, and like leaning into those things. And what makes your heart happy, what makes a heart happy after going so long of feeling like they can't trust other people and feeling like they can't open their heart to certain people, what makes it happy is being proven wrong. Like having your deepest fears be proven wrong, of like, oh my God, I opened up to this person and I actually feel fucking better, and whereas I would have like, it would have taken weeks to heal something or to get over something, because I am utilizing the beautiful, precious gifts of like other reflections from other people. Like I'm able to heal this so much more quickly. And I feel like removing a sense of time, like removing the time frame of where you think you should be or why you're not there yet. Like there's an over-identification of the mind that is definitely happening here with all of this 9 of Swords energy. Yeah, you have it 3 times in this reading. So it's like releasing your mind and really dropping into the heart is what is going to help you at this time. Yeah, I feel like you're going to be proven wrong in a big way. So the biggest thing that's holding you back right now, pile number 4, are these past beliefs and like this shame that you might be carrying, and feeling like you don't feel like you need to wait to be perfect before you start sharing your gifts, and before you start celebrating your life, and before you start feeling worthy of good things happening to you, okay? Because it's just a willingness to grow that allows these serendipitous moments to start to happen, and where it feels like, the things are working out in a very magical way, in ways that we couldn't have created from this level alone. So I feel like it's really, pile number 4 is opening your heart up to other people and not carrying the weight on your shoulders, or the world on your shoulders, not carrying the world on your shoulders by yourself, and understanding that there's a lot that's going to be birthed. You're going to realize so much more about yourself and just like how strong you actually are the more that you open up to other people. And again, it's that shame factor, it's that suffering in silence that I feel like is the biggest block here. because that's where shame has really been brooding for you, really been breeding, really been multiplying for you. So pile number 4, I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart today. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up, comment any synchronicities down below, and I do hope I see you soon.